So, 7th graders, in lesson 2, we're going to talk about the order of operations. And order of operations are the steps that you use in a problem when you have a number of different operations to do. Okay? You have multiple operations, multiple times where you have to add or subtract, multiple times where you have to do division or multiplication, and there's exponents, and there's parentheses, and there's brackets, all in the same kind of problem. And so you have to follow these steps when you're doing those. These are the rules. And you have to complete a step before going on to the next step. So you have to do all operations in parentheses first and simplify in those parentheses. Inside the parentheses, when you're working inside the parentheses, you must also follow the order of operations. Then once the parentheses are simplified, then you go and do all the exponents. And then do all of the multiplication and division, and do that in order from left to right. And then do all addition and subtraction at the end. And do that in order from left to right. Okay? So there's a couple of ways to remember this order. One of them is PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please, the P stands for parentheses. E stands for exponents. My dear, MD, stands for multiply, divide. Notice that that is all in the same step. So if there's division first, you divide and then multiply, because we work in order from left to right. And then Aunt Sally, AS, stands for subtraction and addition, or addition and subtraction. And again, if subtraction is first and then addition, you do that in order from left to right. Okay? So we're going to go through some examples. So, we'll start with this example. Yes, the answers.
49.
49, okay. 17. Got it.
4.
49.
Okay? So, starting with this one, work in parentheses first, and simplify in the parentheses. When you're working out these problems, you should write the answer right underneath the problem that you're doing. I like to use a little arrow to show that this part is done. I'm working out this problem. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now, the parentheses, and then bring down what's left. Then, should we do 7 plus 3 times 2? What should we do first? 3 times 2 is in step 3, multiplication and division. Aiden, show me slant. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then add 7, which is 13. And notice, simplifying means that the problem is getting more and more simple as it goes down to the bottom. And then circle your answer at the bottom. Okay? Also, once you write an answer, bring down what's left so that you can keep track of what you've done and what you haven't done yet. And then work in order from left to right. Okay? Let's look at number 15. This one has some new symbols in it. This is called a bracket. And a bracket is kind of like a parentheses. Brackets are another grouping symbol, they're called. So it groups those things together. If you have brackets around something and then there's parentheses inside of that, that means work in the innermost parentheses or the innermost grouping symbols first. So you go right to the middle of all the parentheses and simplify that first. Jacob.
So I see your parentheses, and then there's like the brackets, but plus 2 is like in front, and it says like the same step as the 1. So then why would you want to have brackets around it if it's like it wouldn't be still in the same order either way?
Yeah. Now there sometimes these the way that they write them are a part of a formula in math. A formula for like finding the area of something or finding the volume. Answering a question in science, formulas are used for all kinds of things, and so it may be written this way just so that you have the parts of the formula all in the problem. Okay? There's many, many different ways why it would be written this way, but you make a good observation that it really doesn't change the steps that we're doing, does it? Because we would do multiplication first anyway, right?
Yeah.
So we do the multiplication. 6 times 8 is 48. Now, when you look at this, and there's a plus sign outside of the parentheses, do we really need these parentheses anymore? Since we have the operation outside that we're going to do, you don't really need to write those parentheses then. In this case, did we have to write the parentheses?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what did they do in this case? The parentheses had a purpose here. What was the purpose of these parentheses after we wrote down the 2?
Multiplication.
Multiplication, yeah. If we just wrote the 2 without the parentheses, then what operation is that? Yeah, it looks like 32, right? So in this case, the parentheses mean multiply, and in this case, since there's a plus sign here, they don't mean multiply, and we really don't need them anymore, because we know what to do next to the parentheses. So you can just write, bring down what's left, put the brackets down here, and we still have to do -1 at the end. And then solve inside the brackets. 50. And then do we need the brackets? Or do we know what we're going to do outside the brackets? We know what we're going to do, right? So then you can write the answer. Okay? Number 16. I gave you a hint already on what to do here. When you have an expression, when you have an expression on the top of a division bar, all right? What that means is to, it's like putting parentheses around it. So it means to simplify this first before you divide. Normally you'd think, well, that plus, that addition, we wouldn't do that till the end of the order of operations, right? But when it's above a division bar, Aiden, are you not feeling good? All right, why don't you stand up and go over by the window? That'll help wake you up, okay? So, you would want to work over and simplify over the division bar first, and then divide it by the bottom number. So, when we work this out, this will be 15 divided by 3 plus 2 times 6. Does everybody see how we got that?
Yeah.
7 plus 8 is 15. 7 plus 8 is 15. Then that's written over 3, so that means divide. And then we bring down what is left to do.
Oh, yeah,
And then we can, since these are separated by a plus sign, we can do the multiplication and they're in the same step. 12 plus, and then do this division as 5. And that equals 17. Okay? Now, feel free to copy these, you guys. This is going to be part of your homework assignment. So feel free to copy these. And so, working on top of the division bar again, what should we do? Add first. Yep. Think of having parentheses around this. 21 plus 15. I'll just write this on the side on the fraction. This is 36, and this is 9, and so that equals 4. Please circle your answers always when you're working out the order of operations problems. Okay? Okie dokie. So, for your assignment, I want you to do 13 through let's see, 13 through 32.
We were doing 15 to 30.
Yeah.
Odds. Even.
On 11, page 11.
Even.